A threat made on social media is leading to a heightened police presence at one Prince George's County High School this morning. We're going to tell you what we know up ahead. Sex trafficking, the world's fastest growing organized crime, and it's happening right here in our area. A deep dive into how it happens coming up, and a flight that was the first of its kind. More on the unmanned Southwest flight later, but first, let's check in with Miri. What's today's forecast? Happy Monday, if there is such a thing, right?
Yes, it is a happy Monday. A lot to be grateful for on this Monday morning. Good morning, everybody. As you step outside, some areas of fog are likely, and we'll also have cloudy skies and damp conditions. It sort of feels humid and damp out there. 60 degrees in Washington right now. Gaithersburg 57. That cloud cover helped to keep all of us a little warmer than we usually would get around this time of the year. By 9 a.m., most of us are at 65 degrees, 72 by noon, and then mid-70s by 5 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see those high temperatures today between 73 and 77 degrees. Mostly cloudy out there and breezy. We're going to get those winds out of the south-southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour at times, and we could have an isolated shower, although the best time for rain will be later on Monday night. So coming up, we'll track this for you, let you know the best time to expect it. Could see some raindrops on that drive Tuesday morning. Ellen.
Mary, you have a couple closures already. We have a fatal crash out there on Route 193. So if you are just outside of the Beltway, both east and westbound lanes impacted between Good Luck Road and Forbes Boulevard this morning. They're doing some accident reconstruction work out there. They haven't given us a time on when this will open back up, but Route 193 is shut down right now. If you're on Route 50, we have an accident here, not construction alert here, an accident right where we always have the construction by the 301 split Route 3. It is your right lane that's blocked. I did pull up a traffic lane camera though on Route 50 as you're heading in both directions. No one's out there, so they're making their way around that accident without any trouble. Also, outer loop of the Beltway, we did have an accident by Arena Drive between there and Route 202, but Larry and Janet, looks good.
Ellen, thank you. Right now in Alexandria, 2 people are dead and 1 person is fighting for their life after a triple shooting. It happened late last night at Veterans Park on Duke Street. That's in the landmark section of the city. We are working to learn the names of those 2 victims and what led up to the shooting. Police do say, however, that people in the neighborhood should not be concerned about an ongoing threat. Also, new information this morning on the death of 2 D.C. men in Dewey Beach over the weekend. Delaware State Police say the men were straddling their bicycles in front of the Starboard Bar and Restaurant when they were struck and killed by a Chevy Suburban. Police say 53-year-old James Walton and 58-year-old Richard Chittick were pronounced dead at the scene. The 61-year-old driver of the SUV apparently suffered some type of medical emergency and blacked out. Police say he also struck a utility pole and an unoccupied Jeep Wrangler. That's a quick look at what's going on. The news at 4:30 starts right now.
This is Wake Up Washington on WUSA 9.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jan Jeffcoat.
And I'm Larry Miller. It is the start of a new work week.
That's right.
Yeah, new work week, new things. We're off to a good start this morning. So is Mary Marshall standing by with a look at the forecast this morning. And Mary, we're going to climb up into the 70s today.
Yes, we are. We will have a lot of cloud cover out there. We also have fog this morning in a few spots. Gaithersburg, half a mile ahead of you. Normally, you can see 10 miles ahead of you, so careful if your route takes you through there this morning. Andrews, a half a mile ahead of you there. Westminster, a half a mile. Most other areas, you can see 10 miles ahead of you, which is normal. But we could see more areas of patchy fog this morning, so we'll continue to track this for you. Meanwhile, it is mild and a little damp as you step outside. 60 degrees in Washington and 58 degrees in Gaithersburg. We're going to find those temperatures in the 60s by 9 a.m., 72 by noon, and in the mid-70s by 5 o'clock this afternoon. This is what we're expecting today. High temperatures 73 to 77 degrees, mostly cloudy, breezy, and warm with winds coming out of the southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. 8:30 a.m. this morning, notice how we have clouds. I wouldn't rule out some drizzle at times or a light sprinkle to pop up. The better rain chance is not until way later tonight once a cold front comes through the area. The best times to see the heaviest of rain will be between, it looks like 2:30 a.m. and perhaps 4:30 a.m. By the rest of the day Tuesday, some scattered showers. By Tuesday afternoon, this cold front clears out and we may even get a little bit of sun on the back end. Ellen.
Mary, happy Monday.
Thank you, Ellen. Happy Monday to you.
Mary and I have already eaten a lot of sugar to try to
so we are ready for this
together
Monday.
this Monday.
Yeah.
I know. And And my coffee cup is like 5 feet away from me at all times. So as you're heading out the door, we have 4 problems, all of them impacting you if you're in Maryland. Virginia and D.C. drivers, so far you're okay. Veers Mill Road, heading eastbound by Randolph Road, our right lane is closed. Then we have a fatal crash investigation going on Route 193. You are closed in both directions. I see most of the delays, though, as you're heading westbound between Good Luck Road and Forbes Boulevard is where you will see that closure. Plus, we have an accident in an area where I'm normally talking about construction at this hour of the morning. It's an accident on Route 50 heading eastbound. So if you're leaving D.C. this morning, right when you hit that 301 split, it is the right lane that is blocked, or by Route 3 as well, though I've been looking at this traffic lane camera. Miri actually asked me if I had seen any fog on my drive in, and this is probably the closest camera that I saw, but it might just be the camera, Larry and Jan. I can't tell for sure, but take a look for fog out there as you're heading to work.
All right. Thank you so much, Ellen. The time right now is 4:31. It's 60 degrees. Here's something that's going to be happening later today in Prince George's County. Students are going to be waking up to a whole bunch more police at a high school there.
Yeah, it's all because of a threat on social media. And at this hour, we understand that the feds are also involved as well.
That's right. Let's go to Mike Valerio, who has what all you parents need to know about the day ahead. Good morning, Mike.
Well, Jan and Larry, good morning. Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt is where we're talking about here. And this is the latest message we have from the principal. It just came down as we were all heading to bed. And it says the following, quote, "This evening we were notified by the media of a potential threat on social media that was circulating among students at Roosevelt High, at which point we began an active investigation. We take all threats of this nature seriously. We'll be adding additional resources to the school tomorrow."
Okay, so it's not clear what the threat was, but obviously pretty serious if the feds are getting involved, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the understatement of the morning right there. We do have this confirmed that the county's Division of Homeland Security is part of the effort right now to identify who put this out there. And in the meantime, Prince George's police will be at Eleanor Roosevelt today. So there is no suspect at the moment, but the school and police are stressing that this investigation is only a few hours old.
And we just want to reiterate again, class at Eleanor Roosevelt High School has not been canceled. Students, you got to show up, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what they're expected to do. Classes are on, and the district says that it has this handled. This is, again, a social media post that spread quickly from student to student. And of course, we'll let you know as more details become available. Larry, let's send it back to you.
Mike, thank you so much. Your time right now, 4:32. Their loved ones are missing. Some may have even been murdered. And the one thing that they all have in common is that they feel like the system has failed them. Last night, family and friends of missing people and murder victims in the district took their stories and their anger to D.C. police headquarters. Many felt that the investigations were brushed off because of their race or their lack of money that they could have poured into the case.
It just seems like as a culture, when it comes to African American cases, we don't get the same kind of attention.
I'm out here on the hunt for my grandchild, and I'm not supposed to have any suggestions. I'm not supposed to think. I'm supposed to just accept whatever answers you give me. This is my grandchild.
Certainly emotional there. D.C. police say it is important for people to know a person doesn't have to be missing for a certain number of hours before you can report them missing in the district. As soon as you notice something isn't right, call this number 202-727-9099 or text the tip line at 50411.
It's 4:33. Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, the soldier who has admitted to deserting his unit before being captured by the Taliban, begins the process today of learning his fate. Sentencing is set to start at Fort Bragg in North Carolina.
You know, in the old days, boom, firing squad. No, it's true.
President Trump made it clear several times during his campaign what he thought should happen to Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, whose sentencing hearing begins today. Last week, Bergdahl pleaded guilty to charges he deserted his Army base in Afghanistan in 2009, endangering fellow soldiers. Bergdahl claims he walked off his post to report problems within his unit to commanders, but he claims shortly after leaving, he got lost and was kidnapped by the Taliban. He was freed in 2014 in a controversial deal in which he was traded for 5 Taliban terrorists being held at Guantanamo Bay. It was an arrangement brokered by the Obama administration.
They get 5 killers that are right now leading and back on the battlefield, trying to kill everybody, including you. And we get Bergdahl a traitor.
As part of the sentencing process, both sides present witnesses to the judge who will ultimately make that decision.
I expect the government to put on several of its witnesses, a couple of soldiers who were actually wounded in the when they were trying to locate where Sergeant Bergdahl was.
The defense is expected to call Bergdahl himself as well as character witnesses. The entire sentencing process could take anywhere from 1 to several days. Bergdahl does face up to life in prison. And in an interview with the Sunday Times of London, Bergdahl claims his Taliban captors treated him better and were more honest than the U.S. military. Well, this week on Capitol Hill, politicians are feeling the pressure from the president as Trump pushes his tax overhaul plan. President Trump warned House Republicans last night that it would be a political failure if they do not pass the proposal. The president is calling on House GOP members to adopt the budget passed by the Senate last week so they can move on to passing his tax reform plan. This week, the National Archives is scheduled to release thousands of secret files on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
More on what those documents could tell us about the tragedy. President Kennedy's final moments gliding through Dallas in 1963 are all too clear, but the story of his assassination remains tantalizingly incomplete, at least to 61% of Americans who do not believe shooter Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
November 22nd, 1963 was a line of demarcation between an America that basically trusted its government to an America that began not to trust its government.
University of Virginia professor Larry Sabato is the author of a book about Kennedy's enduring mystery.
The conspiracy community is united about having 100% transparency and disclosure.
Under a 1992 law designed to quiet conspiracy theories, the National Archives has until Thursday to disclose a final batch of sealed files on the assassination. More than 3,000 never-before public documents and potentially 30,000 documents previously released with redactions. Congressman Joe Kennedy is the former president's great-nephew.
I understand the historical value of those documents. I don't dispute that. They also happen to be quite personal as well. Would have been nice if there was some engagement from this administration.
Others doubt that the new documents themselves will be a truly complete record.
If the agencies did not uncover certain of their documents regarding the assassination, therefore never got to the archives and won't be in the revelations we might see on Thursday.
President Kennedy's final moments gliding through Dallas, still all too clear for so many. As we've mentioned, and we expect that President Trump will allow for the release of these documents to the public so they'll be able to see the 30,000 documents that we mentioned in that story there. And then possibly we'll be able to get some more information that maybe they did not know beforehand. Right. I know we've studied this for years and years in the history books, right? And so it'll be nice for people to kind of quiet the conspiracy theorists and to get very clear about what happened.
Finally see what those documents say. Thank you, Larry.
No problem. All right. All 5 living former presidents, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, and George H.W. Bush, were on hand for the One America concert in Texas over the weekend to support disaster relief efforts across the country and in the Caribbean. The proceeds will help hurricane victims in Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. President Trump was not able to attend, but he did, in fact, send a pre-recorded message. The One America initiative was launched back in September and has so far raised $31 million.
It is 4:38. Sex trafficking is the world's fastest growing organized crime, and it is happening right here in our area.
Still ahead, what you need to know to keep your children safe.